practice. So warm welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have a lot of events coming up this week. So we're going to go to the events calendar in just one moment. We're also live on YouTube, so you can watch us live stream on YouTube if you would like to. Just go to Ariel Policano on YouTube and you can see us there. A warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of our Genius community. We sure do appreciate it. And we invite you to come here every week prepared with your best questions. So please ask a question, something I could demonstrate for you today. Something you're not clear about that you need more guidance on, and I will do my very best to help you with that. So let's go ahead and almost ready to get started. We're going to be talking about sacred geometry today. Do you have questions based on sacred geometry? Let's actually stop this just for 1 second. Okay. Do you have questions about sacred geometry that I can answer for you? Let me know. I would love to answer your questions. And let's go back to this, share the screen. All right, so what questions do you have for today? I'd be happy to answer them for you. Would you like to volunteer for a scan? I can answer your questions there. And we will get rolling. We're going to talk about the toroidal field. We're going to talk about Vesica Pisces. We're going to talk about all manner of sacred geometry. Why do you want to use sacred geometry in your sessions? What is sacred geometry? Why do we have it on the Genius? All of these questions we can take up and answer for you. So just sit back, relax, but do get your best questions in there. We do have a lot of information about the sacred geometry panel in our mastery guide. So if you check out the mastery guide at geniusbiofeedback.com, we've explained everything in detail about what is on your Genius. If you don't have a copy of that mastery guide, you may want to get one, geniusbiofeedback.com, and just put in the word mastery guide and you'll see it come up. All right. Okay, very good. Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being with us. Remember, you can invite anybody, whether they have the Genius or not. They're just kind of interested, to our weekly training. We welcome everyone. You can actually write down this link, biofeedbacksuccess.com/weekly training, and they will instantly get a link to the Zoom. We do it every Monday at 10 o'clock Pacific. That's 1 o'clock Eastern. Now we have a very, very special version of our Frequency of 528 podcast coming up on Thursday. On Thursdays, we normally do a night podcast. So some of you are night owls, probably love it. We do have our podcast at 6:30, but this week, and only this week, we have a 10 a.m. Pacific podcast live stream with Nadine Artemis. If you don't know Nadine Artemis, she's very well known in the holistic health community. She used to speak at the David Wolfe longevity seminars, and she will be speaking with us. Karen McDonald will join us. We're going to talk about just the state of the world. What is her perspective about the state of the world? But we'll also touch on some of the work that she's done in biological dentistry. She has a great book on holistic dentistry that you could download from Amazon or go to her website just by putting into Google Nadine and learn about how she's come up with some very clever ideas about how to keep your teeth truly well and how your teeth are deeply connected to the rest of your body, and your wellness and your total health is related to the health of your teeth. So that will be a great podcast on Thursday. Tomorrow morning, we have prayer circle. So we really try to put the world events into a spiritual context. What can we all take away from this that might actually be something we can learn from the world events? How do we live in a world of tumultuous times through a spiritual lens? So if you're interested in spirituality, if you feel that prayer is powerful, you can join us totally free. And that's 10 o'clock tomorrow. All of the links for this are at geniusbiofeedback.com, and click on the events menu. So go to geniusbiofeedback.com, click on the events menu, and you can register for all of these or the ones that you want to attend. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we do terahertz training. It really is all about what terahertz is, how you can use it, why people are flocking to this type of technology and think it's really important, and how it works in conjunction with the Genius. What does the Genius do that this does not do? What does this do that the Genius does not do? So we have terahertz wands, but we also have something called the core box, which has 5 terahertz chips in it. If you want something as an addendum to what you're doing with the Genius, something that really quickly, a quick application can make a difference, check it out. You can just come and learn about it for free. And we have a lot of fun doing that on Tuesday afternoon. Now let's talk a little bit about sacred geometry. There's a panel in the Genius called Sacred Geometry, and we're going to look at that in just a moment. So if somebody wants to volunteer, then please do by putting your date of birth into the chat area. Otherwise, we'll just put up a random client on here that I know would be okay with me doing that. So if somebody wants to volunteer, let us know. And we do need your date of birth in order to do that. Okay, the reason that we have sacred geometry within the Genius is because it is frequencies that are coherent, frequencies that are ordered, frequencies that represent the truth about who we are. Just trying to bring that panel up so we can take a look at it. And we'll look at the blog as well in just a moment. In fact, let's go ahead and just give people a little bit of a heads up on that. So let's go to geniusbiofeedback.com because we can look at this blog post together and do some downloads about the sacred geometry, and then we'll come back to the lecture as well. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, you know, obviously you can get the Genius here, you can get libraries here, but we have a lot of information on here. Really take some time at some point to check out everything we have, especially on our Learn menu. So you can learn about the quantum capsule on here. You can learn about the learning intensive that we did, lots of different things on here. But let's just go ahead and look at the blog. We also put a lot of what we do onto the blog. And so right here we have our sacred geometry guide. So if you want to download that and you've never known about what these all mean, this is a great one because you can go ahead and learn more about what these all are. So like I said in the beginning, these are coherent, organized frequencies. What the developer did is he took a bunch of frequencies that would be representative of these different constructs of sacred geometry and put them in the Genius. So, I mean, you could do something like run the entire panel of sacred geometry for yourself. You can choose certain reds and blues that you want to do, and you can also skillfully and cleverly start to introduce some of these frequencies of sacred geometry into the main hold tray or into your quick zap tray and utilize them in a really skillful way to potentiate or add a dimension to the balancing that you're doing. So I really want everybody to really enjoy sacred geometry and try it out, and we'll look at some of these, but these are all defined because a lot of people you know, want to know, well, I know this panel, but what do they all mean? And so this guide that you can download from the blog, which is also in the mastery guide, can be very, very helpful for you to really get a handle on what the sacred geometry is. So these are all defined, and that can be really helpful. We're going to cover some of them today, and we'll come back to this guide. We also have a handout that we're going to post on the Vesica Pisces, how it works and how you can utilize it. And we're going to post that on the blog a little bit later on today, because the Vesica Pisces, we have a process to use it for new beginnings when you're starting a new venture. So Pisces is all about the springtime, giving birth, things like that. So also just on the website itself, I just wanted to point you to the events calendar. And so you can see our events calendar here, and you can see all the things that are coming up. So we do have our frequency of 528 is going to be 10 a.m. as I mentioned, or 1 p.m. Eastern time. And you can see all the other training here. For our business members, we're not meeting this week, but we do start our calls for the month of April, continuing our conversation about marketing, launching your business, a group program. So we'll be back next week for the business membership. If you're a member of the Library Discount Club, we have a new library called Circuitry Reset. all about recalibrating your nervous system, which is the key to everything in your body, your immune system, your hormones, your endocrine system, your just how you're feeling in your body, how relaxed, how your digestion is working. So that's circuitry reset, and we just did that for everybody for Library Discount Club, got that for free, as well as your $97 coupon for the month. If you want to read more about our memberships, they're all listed here in the Discount Club menu, about our Library Discount Club and about our business membership. Okay, so we want to go back to here, and we're going to answer your questions in just a moment. We just wanted to mention that a little bit about sacred geometry. Again, when you're playing frequencies, they work with you in something called entrainment. When you hit that play button and you're hearing the frequencies and you're close to the frequency where it's being generated, you are aligning yourself. You're being affected by it in a process called entrainment. You're equilibrating yourself to that frequency. And yes, it means whatever words, music, sounds, frequencies that you're close to, you're always being affected by them. This could be a positive experience of beautiful classical music or jazz, or it could be a negative experience where you're sitting right on top of your Wi-Fi router, and that's a very aberrant or very non-beneficial frequency. But you're constantly being affected by all the frequencies around you. You're even be affected by the energy or the vibration of your thoughts, and you're affected by the vibration of your words, or words that people are speaking to you, or words that you're listening to. So you want to be very, very aware and awake about what are the vibrations that you're allowing into your world, and how are you using them intentionally. You can use them intentionally with the genius. So the sacred geometry panel is very, very powerful. It's a wonderful panel to use, and you can either use it all together. So you could put all the frequencies together into your quick zap if you wanted to, but it makes more sense to kind of learn about the different aspects of sacred geometry to understand the different elements in that panel. And then you place them in your quick zap or your main hold tray in order to affect all the other frequencies that you're balancing. So if you were working on a digestive tune-up and you put in the golden ratio or the Fibonacci sequence, these are things that the body works in rhythms, the body works in perfection. The golden ratio is a representation of that. So you're aligning yourself with that perfection principle. What is being shown here is the toroidal field. This is the field generated by your heart. In the genius, we have frequencies that says toroids, so that's very, very similar. So the energy around your heart is more effective than the electrical field around your brain, as much as that seems to be not what we usually think. And so this is a very powerful field for manifestation. So when you're trying to manifest something, a new house, a new job, a new career, more money, you want to employ the energy of the toroidal field. So you can go to that toroid frequency, put it in your quick balance. Maybe you have the money manifestation panel. So we have a money manifestation library. It's on the website. You may have it. You may have gotten it when you got the business course, or you got one of our packages. So the money manifestation frequency, then you go to that library. And when you go to that library, you can also, maybe we can demonstrate this, you can also add to, or it's called the money magnetizing, that's right, the money magnetizing panel. So the money magnetizing panel, then you take some of those frequencies and then you add in things like the golden ratio, things like the toroids manifesting from the heart for abundance. So you're potentiating or adding to those frequencies in a skillful way. So these are the ways that we use our wonderful sacred geometry panel. The golden ratio is 1.61. It's a mathematical calculation, and it's a little hard to understand, but it's related to the Fibonacci frequency. And the Fibonacci frequency goes something like 1 + 1 = 2. Then you take the previous number, 2 + 1 = 3, 3 + 2 = 5, 5 + 8 = 13. And this is a mathematical progression. It's really fun to do if you like math. And this is actually how the distribution of the numerical distribution within the human body. So cells grow in the relationship of the Fibonacci frequency. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 8, and the body is in proportion in the Fibonacci sequence, everything in the body that can be measured comes back to the golden ratio. It's all in a sequence related to these numbers and how they're related to each other. It's quite fascinating. And then we have the Vesica Pisces. This isn't a very complete picture, but that is the energy of birthing. We'll look at some of the other sacred geometrical constructs in just a moment. So let's see what some of your questions are. Okay. Okay, let's not advertise products and so forth on the class, but thank you very much. And okay, so okay, maybe let's not put links into our chat unless they are approved, okay? Because then what people do is they don't understand what the link is. I haven't reviewed the link, so I love you, I appreciate you, but let's not make that a practice, okay? All right, so, but I like this. Heidi Marie says, I'm a new fruitarian, loving it. We'll talk more about fruitarianism on the podcast, but fruit and plant-based foods, hey, they're going to start putting mRNA into pork and beef. So one quick way to avoid that is don't eat meat anymore if you don't want to. If you do want to, then go right ahead. I try to give you as much information as I can about the precious life that we have through the nitric oxide production of our endothelium. And we can talk about more at some other time. Okay, Annette, I love it. You want to volunteer, and it's wonderful to have you here in class and really appreciate you. So we'll go ahead and let me see if I have you in the Genius here. So get ready to join us in just one moment, and we'll work with you at that time. Okay, I think we do have you here. Wonderful. And we'll bring you up in just one moment. A client asked whether having hair and makeup done makes a difference in the picture scan as opposed to no makeup. That's an interesting question. You know, typically what the Genius is picking up on is your pure vibration. It's actually just, you know, your vibration, but it's true. It's as read by the picture. You know, my gut feeling is it does not make a difference. You can't sort of lie to the Genius. It's going to pick up on your vibrational resonance. About 86% of the Genius is based on your voice. And you also really can't disguise your voice because it's something true is going to come through in elements of the voice, no matter how you try to switch it up. So it's like a truth teller. It's like a really powerful truth teller with the Genius. Hi, Annette, how are you? Well, good to have you. Let me make sure my sound is on. All right, and make sure your sound is on as well.
Yes.
So we're going to work with you with sacred geometry today. Have you ever worked with that panel, sacred geometry?
I have. I don't have a real depth of understanding about it, but I do like the whole premise of it. And yeah.
All right, fabulous. Well, let's quickly record your voice. So I will record it from here, and I have my Genius right here on my iPad Pro. And so I'll go ahead and cue you. I'll begin recording your voice in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
My name is Annette Horn, A-E-I-O-U. My name is Annette Horn, A-E-I-O-U. Annette Horn, A-E-I-O-U. Annette Horn, A-E.
Good. Yes, very good. Excellent. Okay, so that's all cleared up and ready to go. And we're going to go ahead and do the picture in just a moment. How have things been going for you with utilizing the Genius for yourself?
Well, I have to say that I have been using it really consistently, and I have just been struggling physically with a lot of health issues until a couple of weeks ago. I kind of feel like I started to turn a corner. And 2 weeks ago, if you had asked me that question, I would have said I was feeling really discouraged.
Okay, quick smile for the camera. Just going to interrupt you just for one moment. You know what's interesting? I just saw the last picture that we took for you, and you look way more vibrant than the last time we actually I think we did a mini scan during the podcast or something. And you look way more vibrant. Are you overall feeling a little bit better now?
Yes, I am.
That's
Um,
exciting.
I think there's a whole like emotional, spiritual element that I need to, it's like I felt like I was putting maybe all my eggs in the biofeedback basket and not doing like the work that you need to be doing, like personally, emotional, you know what I mean? You can't just like do the frequency part of it. You have to have a well-rounded practice, I think, right?
Yeah, well, a lifestyle, this is one of the things that we've really talked about. We'll be bringing back some new classes, but oh my goodness, this is not reflecting correctly. Let me just try to make this work right. Yes, it's
Just one
always a
note,
combination.
that whole fruit thing that you talked about on the podcast works great for me, just FYI.
It what?
Eating fruit in the morning till I do fruit until about 3. I feel really good doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's actually what we talked. That's exactly what we talked about on the
Yeah, I got that
podcast.
idea from you. I was a little skeptical because of the sugar content in the fruit, and I was just like, well, okay, I'll try it.
It's
And
one of the. I'm so glad that it did, and doing that till 3, and then having whatever else resonates for you in the evening is, fine. We want to do some more classes on it, and actually do get a group together to do it all together at the same time.
oh,
Let
that
me just try to get this to work.
sure.
And I think that will be great, great fun for us all to do that and to see the results. And we'll have a special panel for working with the genius. But it's the best kept secret. Think about this world where they tried to get people to take the or
Mhm.
maybe you did and you didn't,
I
you
did
didn't
have,
know.
you had
Yeah,
a
and so
job. I was working
no,
in California.
yeah, and it's all good. You're going to be fine.
Thank you.
The reason I want to just to talk about it is because you've learned something about maybe how trustworthy that whole system might be, right? I mean, you really had
Oh
like sort of
yeah. Oh
a
yeah.
waking
And
up
I was
process.
like just sucked into it big time. And I was such a conflict. I can't even you can't explain the turmoil that I experienced as a nurse being a part of delivering that message and um, help, persuading people to participate. Yeah, that was, that
Yeah,
was
and
hard.
so now think about that in the context, it's an awakening across all our different media and what we're being told. And so the greatest, cosmic giggle is, hey, let's let you think that protein and fat are what your body needs. But if you look at it,
Yeah.
actually the way the body literally works is it runs on glucose. And when somebody is severely compromised, and you probably know this as a nurse, if they were in a coma or they couldn't consume food, for whatever reason they were injured, they basically give them an IV drip, which is mostly glucose and a little bit of salt in there.
Mhm,
Do you
mhm.
agree?
Agreed, yes. And then if it's long term, TPN is a solution that is just, yeah, it's got some amino acids in it, but it's got a ton. I don't know what the percentage is anymore, but yeah, of glucose,
And so
dextrose.
what our body really needs for all of our muscles to run, because the glucose literally produces ATP. We need a little bit of protein, but that's mostly when we're growing. Then we need a tiny little bit of protein. We need most of the people, in the Western world, goodness me, we don't need more fat grams because we could see the problem of excess and what it's done. And the fat you eat is the fat you wear. It gets converted instantly and very, very easily into fat. And then this large amount of fat really compromises our vessels. Now, anybody can choose whatever diet they want. Certainly no judgment here. I try to give you the benefit of something I've been studying for, going on 3 decades of my life. It's been this important to me to get to the truth, but the truth is intentionally hidden, or it's a little bit of a play. You have to get past the information. So this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. Your body is cleansing, but it's also being nourished during that time of the day. So instead of having to do intermittent fasting, which is very torturous to people and they don't like it, and then they tend to overcompensate in other parts, you're getting nourished with wonderful food. We recommend melons as being something wonderful, or pineapple, even mango. These foods tend to work well, but you can choose any fruit that you like or mix it up, and then you eat fruit for maybe until noon or till 3, and your body's going through a whole cleansing process, but it's also getting wonderful vitamins and minerals and nutrition. And maybe that's why you're looking so vibrant.
Yeah. And you know what? Mike Adams said too, that the fibers in fruit actually cleanse like heavy metals and things. They do a lot
That's
of
right. That's a good
detoxing
point.
on a
I'm gonna
different
take that
level.
and run with it. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Anytime you're having more fiber in your diet, it's a great opportunity to you can bring heavy metals through the bowel and start to excrete them. And especially if you're having fruit, you're probably going to start to mobilize some of the fat stores in a very positive way. And when you do that, then yes, because you store the heavy metals in the body, and if you're eating the fruit, then the fiber will help to bring those metals out of the body. And we can also sweat them out, and some of them will be brought out through the kidneys. So lots of water and hydration, but really juicy types of fruit contain a vast amount of structured water. And this is
Mhm.
by far the most healthy and hydrating water that the body can have. And it's hard to get in other ways. Even drinking spring water is not quite the energetic equivalent that you're getting when the water is in plants, and the
Oh,
most water is stored into fruit. So very, very cool. And really, you're looking wonderful.
thank
So
you.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the scan on you. And then is it okay if we come back and talk with you a little bit in just a
Sure.
little bit?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, it's
Should
so
should
fun.
I turn my video off and my mute?
I'll go ahead and do that for you, and we're
Okay,
going to bring
thank
you
you.
back in just a little bit. So nice to have you on, Nanette. So thank you. All right, so perfect. So let's go ahead and let's get your questions answered as well. So keep your questions going. And we're going to go ahead and go to the aura at this moment. This is a great way to start your scan. Now, we do just notice, I mean, it's very interesting. So we've got red, red, red. We've got red hormones, electrical sensitivities, digestion, and minerals. That's interesting that those are red. And then we've got a lot of blues coming up. So remember, blues is going to be like the person's tired. They're maybe a little bit energy deficient. Maybe their adrenals are a little bit low. Their reserves are a little bit low. So this is just a general thing for you to think about anytime that you're doing a scan. So let's go to the aura function. And we do have a wonderful handout on this. You can probably look it up on the blog. You could request it from us. Maybe we'll bring out the newsletter, the weekly update. We'll go ahead and we'll reprint that article about the aura. I also think if you look on my YouTube channel, we've posted it below the video. And like I said, I think we've also posted the video and the handout about the aura on the blog. Oh my goodness, Annette, look at that incredible, almost like a just big, big, bright energy coming through on that outer ring. It looks absolutely wonderful. It's a very high vibrational color. It's it has to be associated with the seventh chakra. It's really not red, it's really not orange. It really doesn't look like one or two. It really looks like one of the higher sort of seventh chakra. And then we've got the beautiful purple in there, which is going to be related to the pineal gland. And we've got this sort of gray, which is really interesting, but it's like a solid gray. It's not the gray or the black you'd see on the outside. So I don't have an immediate explanation for that, but it's a nice solid color. Let's see where it goes to. Let's see where it changes as we work with your energy today. So I like how you did, okay, I'm not just going to do biofeedback, but I'm also going to work on my physical body. That's the perfect combination. So you're very, very smart to do that. Let's see, Veronica has said here, Goddess Veronica, I love it. How best to use the sacred geometry, for example, emotional stress? By itself, or does it work better with another library? We're going to get into that. But yeah, you could use sacred geometry with flower essences. So you could do just the flower essences and then combine it with sacred geometry. Sacred geometry brings you to that state of perfection that already exists inside of you. It reminds you of that. It takes you back. So think about the energy, the energy of a flowing stream. Okay, I'm just going to take a break for 1 second here. Think about the energy of a flowing stream. You know, think about the energy of listening to a river run, or think about listening to the ocean, or think about looking at the sun as it rises or as it sets. Any of those beautiful scenarios, you are connecting with the energy of sacred geometry, which is the energy of nature. So how do you bring that energy into your session? What do you want to do with it? How can it make your session better? Okay, so we've got a picture of this. Now let's go back and let's sort of review. We've got hormones, electrical sensitivities, digestion, minerals. So let's go ahead. Let's just try to see if we can get a flavor for what we would want to do here. Let's use this. We're going to use 3 different parts. We're going to use hormones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to hormones and I'm going to bring them up into the quick zap. So I'm going to do 3 panels from the genius, and then maybe the sacred geometry is the 4th. So I'm going to use the red items here, bring them up into the quick zap. Then I'm going to use the blue items, bring them up into the quick zap. So hormones, hormones are going to be very related to how you viscerally feel on a day-to-day basis. Hormones are everything. They're really related to how you're feeling, your energy, your sense of balance. So let's go ahead. We're going to do hormones. But now hormones are also very related to neurotransmitters. So the hormones and neurotransmitters go hand in hand. So now we see neurotransmitters are also red. So neurotransmitters are brain chemicals that send certain messages to create certain effects. And if you don't have enough serotonin, then you might also have hormonal imbalances. So let's look, if you don't have enough melatonin, this could affect the proper balance of hormones, sort of down the chain of events. So let's go ahead and look at neurotransmitters. And so there's none that are red or blue, but let's go ahead and let's take some of the ones that are on the higher side or at the top, and then let's take some of the other neurotransmitters. So we're going to combine neurotransmitters and hormones. And what was one other thing? Let's go ahead and grab the solfeggio tones that are coming up. Let's grab these down here that are coming up. And just an addition that has been made to the solfeggios, you're going to notice now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 items here, but there are only 9 solfeggios. So if you wanted to put all the solfeggios like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, all of those together, you would have to then not include 432. 432 has been included because some people like the idea of 432 being a more resonant or coherent form of music. So I don't know why, but the developer decided to drop it into this library. So just be aware that you can use it. It's tremendous. It's great, but it's not one of the solfeggios. So just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind it has been added to the solfeggio frequency. So we can talk about 432 at a future time. Now we want to go to the sacred geometry library, and so we've added 3 things together. So the number 3, the number 6, the number 9. Keep in mind those are wonderful numbers to work with when you're doing something like you might want to run something for 3 minutes or 6 minutes, or you have 3 things that you're balancing together. So we did neurotransmitters, solfeggios, and hormones. Now we want to bring in the sacred geometry. So what do we want to, because we only want to add maybe 1 or 2 items to this to potentiate it. So what do we want to add to this particular frequency? Now, just crashed on us. We're going to bring this back now. So let's go ahead and find that sacred geometry handout that we have here. And let's look at this one as well. I think I'm not going to be able to use the spotlight, or I'm going to end up crashing the system. So let's go ahead and look at this together, and let's see what we have that's coming up. So you could use the reds or blues that are coming up for the person, or you could add items with intention. So the thing is, you want the sacred geometry to be added to potentiate or create a certain effect. So if we wanted to bring these back into balance, then we want a manifestation. One of the greatest ways to manifest is through the energy of the heart. So therefore, we could just bring up the toroids and just put toroids in here, and then balance that for 1 minute, for 3 minutes, for 9 minutes, for 15 minutes, whatever we want. So that's one strategy that we could utilize. So let's go ahead and do that. We want to bring it up to 1 minute. So let's go ahead and do that. And while we're doing that, let's go ahead and we're going to close that tray right here. I wanted to stop. Yeah, close the tray and let's look. It comes down here and it says the circle. Let's see if we have. Okay, think of the circle for successful completion of projects or a feeling of a sense of completion. I mean, when you look at a circle, you can learn so much, right? There's no edge to it. There's no fine lines to it. It just keeps going around. It's continuous. It has perfect flow to it. It can be considered about completion. What about that energy would be helpful for you or helpful for the case? It could be helpful maybe for bringing somebody back into rhythm, so you could associate it with the endocrine system or the hormone system. That would be something for circle. Fibonacci. The Fibonacci sequence is a set of numbers. It starts with 1. We just talked about this before. It is an element of perfection. This is because every tree, every leaf, every human being, how we grow, how we are, exists in this Fibonacci relationship. So if something, say there's cancer, that's an aberrant growth of frequencies, then we want to bring them back. We want to bring them back into rhythm. We could utilize Fibonacci, the energy of Fibonacci, or something very similar is the golden ratio, because the golden ratio is an element of the Fibonacci sequence, how all those numbers shake out. When you divide them down and you simplify them, they're in that 1.61 ratio. And then the flower of life is another one. So the flower of life is something you've probably seen somewhere. It's a very common spiritual and religious an energy, and it's an energy of perfection. It's really, the flower of life is telling a story. It's telling a story about how cells grow, how the universe is created, and it's giving you a pictorial story about the perfection of the universe when things are in order. When things are in order, when they're in alignment, then you go outside and your garden is growing all the plants that you need, and none are dying off. They're all growing, they're vibrant. It's that energy of coherence, it's that energy of perfection. And our whole body, our whole being is constantly trying to return to that energy of perfection. A perfect example is you get a cut on your arm. Oh my gosh, it's bleeding. Then you put the Band-Aid on. The next minute, next day you look at it. Wow, it's starting to heal. Everything's starting to come together. Next, you look at it, it's forming a scab. You look at it a few weeks later, it's like it never happened. And that is nothing that you didn't, work on that, right? Did you remember every day to make sure that your wound was healing? Did you apply all the incantations and directions and instructions to heal the wound? No. As long as the energetics of your body are supported in some way through food, through positive thinking, just the natural Jing energy that your body got when you were born, then the whole energy of the body is constantly working towards health. It's constantly pushing you towards wellness. All we have to do is eliminate the obstacles to cure, and also give some encouragement, some catalyzing energy like the frequencies of the genius to help it move into that state of perfection. All right, so let's see what some say that the 432 is not a positive effect on us. Yeah, I don't know. It's not part of the traditional solfeggio. So, but yeah, we'll have to look at that in more detail and have a little bit of a class about it. I've been intuitively, and I think you've mentioned before, I usually do a quick scan on sacred geometry and similar libraries to end the scan. Yes, of course. We've done that mostly through the solfeggios. We'll talk about that in another one. And we'll talk more about the power of fruit, and maybe on the week after Nadine Artemis. Thank you so much for asking about it. Really appreciate it. Can you provide the manufacturer's email? I cannot adjust my time on the Genius. It only works 1 in 10 times. Beth, let me say something about that will really help you. The best thing to do is to just delete your Genius and reinstall it. It's very likely that it may be having a hiccup with your system. Something may not be right, but usually it's not a systemic issue. Usually it's a device-based issue that can be resolved by deleting, reinstalling, and kind of, syncing your database. But you can send the first maybe the first shot of that you need support on, just send it first to support@geniusbiofeedback.com, and we'll give you all the information if we think it's best that you go directly to the developer. Kim says, I'm wondering if you can explain again around a vitamin and mineral panel or a parasite panel, for instance. Is the red a chronic problem and the blue an acute problem? Can you bring some clarity? Okay, I think you're saying just to go through one panel, which we can definitely do. All right, so just back to the first question that we had, Kathy, just a definitive answer. It won't make a difference whether they're wearing makeup or not. Really, the result you get is going to be the same. It has a wonderful way of tapping into the truth about the particular person. Okay. So we have in this handout, again, we have spirals, we have the point, we have flower of life, we have platonic solids. So you can read all about this. And we also have another process on the Vesica Pisces, which we're going to get posted to the blog. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to run that for 1 minute with the combination of toroids and the solfeggio's neurotransmitters and hormones. And so we only got for 21% rectification. So we would probably run another minute and try to get to 40% rectification. But let's go back to the aura and see if the aura has changed just with the 1 minute of those items, solfeggios, and the energy of the heart, the energy of toroids. Let's see if we were able to change anything from doing that for the minute of frequency that we were able to run. Let's go ahead and see. We're having fun today with technology. Can't get any better than that. Just gotta love it. Okay, interesting change, which we're going to see in just a moment here, and then we'll do the comparison. So if we can get the reflector to cooperate, which hopefully we can, it'll be right up. And it's a very interesting aura. It's interesting that it went to the purple, that the purple became the primary color, because that's a really wonderful, oh my goodness gracious, I don't know what I just did. Try this again. Okay, so yeah, so isn't that an interesting, what is going on? Oh no. I'm trying to think if I've touched down on something. I've managed to do this so that I can bring this up. I didn't do this on purpose. I have no idea what it's doing. Isn't that funny? Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and look at this. So we've got the before and after. I didn't take a picture of it. Okay, let's try this again. And what we're going to do is take a screenshot of it. And now let's look at it. Okay, perfect. So here was the before. Hopefully here's the after. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's the before and here's the after. Before, and we were working on hormones. Now remember, it's just a minute, so we might need another piece of this to run it for a little bit longer, and we're going to change some things up. But I love how that purple came in so strongly, because the gray was just kind of neutral, and it could have been a weakened vital force, or there could have been toxins in there or something, or she talked about the heavy metals. This almost reminds you of heavy metals. And then we're able to do something that really moved it and switched it. That's really interesting. And now also there's a lot of power energy coming in with that third chakra energy. Not sure about that orange. And it's interesting, the blue, that kind of light blue energy on the outside would be about probably the throat chakra. So let's just go ahead back here and let's sort of capture that moment in time. But let's go back to our little quick zap project here. And let's go back to sacred geometry. And now we want to say, well, what other items in sacred geometry would we like to add? You know, Metatron's cube is going to be very expansive, is really going to connect you with universal consciousness, universal higher consciousness and transformation. And isn't that fascinating? Okay, somehow I've managed to create like a magnifying glass effect, which I love. It's probably great for you guys. Like this. In sacred geometry, let me just give it a synopsis of this. Yeah, it really does connect you with sort of the higher consciousness of it all, the greater consciousness of the world. And so it would be something that you could use to expand your meditation, or to connect you more in your higher chakras, or to raise your vibration. So let's go ahead and open this up. And let's add Metatron's cube to this. And let's also add one more. Let's go ahead and add the energy. I love the energy of the golden ratio. And you notice that I'm using not always the reds and blues from this particular panel. Now, tangled insides. Let's go ahead and let's add in actually another panel so that we can answer Kim's question. So let's go back here. Let's close the tray, and let's see what we've got here. Let's use today's stress because it's so informative usually. And when we go here to today's stress, I'm going to click on today's stress. And so do a quick review here that every time that you scan the Genius, it gives you reds and blues for most of the panels. Reds and blues really represent the frequencies that would be best for that person for that day. The frequencies that would be best for that person for that day. That is their frequencies. Where you sort of deviate from that and give it specific meaning is more interpretive, but we can say for sure these are the frequencies that the Genius through voice analysis and picture has determined would be the best frequencies for them to get the greatest benefit today. Now, we often want to imbue or give more meaning to the frequencies, which is perfectly fine. We do our very, very best. So the red and the blue, when you're looking at a physical problem or something that could potentially be off in some way or something that could potentially be an issue, then the reds are typically telling us about things that are new, superficial, acute. So I think you got them switched around, Kim. You sort of reverse them. And then blue is going to be something more long-standing, energy that could be considered to be more compressed, energy that could be considered to be more chronic. So if we look at these and we go virus, blood sugar, kidneys, nutritional, the liver is like the more issue to be more concerned about. So maybe the liver is working very hard in detoxing those heavy metals, or her new food plan is allowing her to detox a lot. And so the liver is very, very busy. So we definitely want to add that. Let's add that to our quick zap. And then we can also add these elements as well: blood sugar, kidneys, nutritional. And oh, the key with the fruit, anytime you're worried about fruit and blood sugar, is just removing the fat. Eat fruit on its own, and it's always better even just to keep it to one type of fruit. But anytime you mix your fruit with, you also have fruit and then you have some scrambled eggs or you have butter on your toast, that's when you get into trouble, because it's the fat that will cause the blood sugar to be imbalanced. So just eat them on their own completely without any fat added to the equation. And you're going to notice that, ironically, even though you're having a lot of fruit, that your blood sugar begins to be much better balanced and much better processed. It's amazing how much better the body can feel and run. And those are obviously they have a lot, any type of fruit has a lot of energy from the sun. It's all of those sun's rays that have contributed to the beautiful growth of the watermelon or the grapes or whatever it is. So they have a lot of photonic energy. Just as you seek to raise your vibration with wonderful essential oils, when you eat fruit, you're also lifting your vibration. And nothing has to, when you eat from the fruit, the tree still exists. It's an interesting contemplation all about the energetics of food, which you can also think about as you become more aware of frequency and energy through your utilization of the Genius. So now what we're going to do is we're going to now tap that and balance that for 1 minute. And we want to continue to ask the question, what changes about the aura? So the aura becomes our barometer, a way of looking at the changes. And actually I wanted to do one thing. That's why I was waiting to balance. I also wanted to take this opportunity I want to answer more of your questions, but go to that navigation bar and bring in those new elements in frequency, shape, and form. So in frequency, shape, and form, we can actually do a little bit of a scan here and see which of these sounds, in addition to the chimes and bells, would be beneficial. So let's see, superconscious select which of these chimes would be beneficial, or which of these sounds would be beneficial in addition or instead of the chimes and bells. And it says the animal cells, and it selects them together. So I think it's going to play them together. And then if we wanted to increase the power output, maybe we could put this to 10%, make it a little bit more powerful in the output. And then we could also say which of these isochronic tones, these are special tones that will add an element of healing in some particular area, which of these could be beneficial. So let's again tap on Superconscious Select. So the frequency, shape, and form has been expanded, has a little bit more features in it. So let's just make sure we know what these features are and how to utilize them. Stimulating growth hormone. So that would sound weird for a full-grown person, but growth hormone is involved in healing the body. It also allows you to build lean muscle and to burn fat more efficiently. And so when we're sleeping, if we've gone to bed sort of on a somewhat empty stomach, and there's sort of a fasting effect, then we will produce growth hormone while we're sleeping, but especially we're going to produce hormone the more that we're able to go to sleep sort of before midnight, something anywhere between 9 and 10:30 being a sweet spot. Then we're going to sort of have that momentum as we build up to midnight to produce a greater and more optimal amount of growth hormone. So this says stimulate growth hormone. Maybe she's not getting to that wonderful, perfect output. As we age, we tend to produce less growth hormone for this purpose. We have to have the right amount. It's like a Goldilocks amount, not too much, not too little. That's why it can be tricky of people who supplement with like synthetic growth hormone. That can be kind of tricky. And so addictions, well, we're all struggling with addictions all the time of higher or lower nature. We try to improve them. We'll always probably be drawn, addicted to something, whether it be maybe it's running Genius Session. That's a healthy addiction. Okay, then we're going to go back now to this, and now we see the quick zap. We have those items in the quick zap with the sacred geometry, and we're going to play those for 1 minute. And so now it's incorporating the other tones, the isochronic tones. There should be animal sounds, but I honestly am not hearing them. I don't know if anybody else is noticing that. All right, let's see what some of your other questions are. All right, I'm wondering if the whole class is going to be on sacred geometry today. The email said digestive health. And I'm really sorry, T, thanks for joining us. That was last week. I'm trying to get that updated. It only allows me to change the topic for the whole webinar series. We talked about digestion last week, so if you're interested in that, go to my YouTube channel and check out the video from last week. It's also been posted to the blog. I'm not able to get the sacred geometry PDF. Could you please send the direct link to me? No, what you need to do is go to the blog and try to download it. And if that really doesn't work for whatever reason, which I don't know why that would be, then you can send us an email, support@geniusbiofeedback.com. Okay, Google the 12 chemicals and contaminants in cosmetics. I don't know why that's been posted, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. Very interesting, just on its own. Not sure how it's related, but it's all good. Does the center of the egg correspond to a location? Usually the center of the egg is the main issue that they're dealing with today. So we had a great rectification. It's interesting that now she's going to 52%. Now she's going to a higher level of rectification. So that's kind of fascinating. Let's see where we transported to in the journey of the aura here. You mentioned we can do a biofeedback and work on physical things. That means lifestyle. So the things that we endeavored to teach in our biofeedback practitioner courses about blood sugar, about bone health, about metabolism, about hormones, all of those things, lifestyle things. That's what I'm talking about. I know you probably don't want to say in this this way, but if a vitamin is blue, vitamin D, can we say it's a nutritional deficiency? Kim, that's an awesome question that I'm really trying to drive at, which is no, we don't want to say that. But let me show you how you can word that a little bit differently, because I know what you're trying to achieve there. Well, really fascinating that we've included the toroidal field in this sacred geometry, and look what's happened. So let's look at the first one. Beautiful aura. Oh, this is really trying my patience with this reflector today. It's interesting. All types of crazy zany things happening, larger, smaller. Okay, anyway, this was the first one. We got that kind of gray in the center, which I'm not really clear. Maybe that's like a detox sign, because the center is the main thing that they're dealing with. Then purple, so now I feel like she's brought in some really vibrant energy. There's an increase in that vital force. And then we're here, but it's interesting that we've been running the toroids, because the toroids is connected to the heart. And it's interesting that she went now She's more settled into her heart chakra, and not only on that inside, but also on the outside. It's a really interesting progression of the aura. And then the other two colors are very high vibrational colors. They're like that pastel type of color. This is a really interesting, because look at how this has actually all the fuzziness has kind of left the aura. And that's just a beautiful, really consistent energy coming through. So it's looking great, Annette. We're going to come to you in just a moment to get your ideas and your thoughts. But that's really interesting. But I do just want to answer, what the heck just happened? I don't know why. I guess it crashed or something. In the 2 seconds that I was talking, I don't know what happened there. Annette, while I'm fixing this, let's go ahead and get your thoughts. And we'll go to that blog post again in just a moment. So Annette, let's go ahead and bring you up here and talk with you here. Let's open up your video if you're ready, and your voice, and let's just talk a little bit about what were your thoughts as we were going through the scan?
Two things. So to talk about how you said, the heart chakra and the green, like I've just kind of settled into that. I've had
Yeah,
a lot. I mean, the last month and a half has been really horrific emotionally for me. It's just been so hard. And I'm kind of coming out of that a little bit, but this morning was really, really hard, super emotional. I am exhausted. I'm not sleeping. But anyway, I feel
that's interesting though. That's interesting that you're going through that transformation.
I feel actually just sitting here while we're doing all this, I can feel more settled in my heart, like just more connected, and just I feel better than I did an
Yay.
hour ago.
That's the
I was
power of sacred geometry. Have you used the sacred geometry panel in the past?
not like you're using it. So I
That's
love that
great.
you're doing this, because I really do feel better. Like
Yes,
I
yes.
kind of like drug myself here, put myself in front of the computer. I'm going to do my thing. And yeah, I mean, I feel 80% better.
I'm glad that you did that. I'm glad that you joined us today. Sometimes just showing up was like 80% or 90% of life. And so you
Yeah.
came and you received. So that's a really wonderful. And I'm so glad that you got this tip about utilizing the sacred
Yes.
geometry in this way, because now you can sort of look at this handout about sacred geometry and say, what is the energy that I want to introduce into that quick zap or into that session?
I
And then
love
use
that.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, and then use it in a skillful or creative way. So now you have
Hmm.
lots of new fun tools at your fingertips, and especially in the new springtime, you can bring in that sacred energy of the Vesica Pisces, which is
Hmm.
an energy which is all about new beginnings. And it is a little confusing because on the Genius it says the square root of 3, which we're not going to get into, but it is the energy of the Vesica Pisces, which is the energy of new birth, new beginnings, and so forth.
I love that. That's really good. And I have an issue with sleeping, yeah, through all this last month and a half. So the whole growth hormone thing hit home, because I've heard you speak on that before. And it's like my body is like, Annette, you have to go to bed earlier, because no matter what time I fall asleep, I wake up when the birds wake up. So whether 4 hours or 3 hours or 6 hours of sleep, it doesn't matter. I used to be able to lay there and fall back asleep, but no, I can't. But I feel like it's my body saying, you need to go to bed by 10:30, Annette, so you can benefit from that growth hormone, right?
Yes, I love it. Well, you're doing such good work for yourself, Annette. I know you're going to start to feeling better and better as
Thank
a
you.
result. So kudos to you for taking that responsibility to do better for yourself and even just showing up today. I think that that's awesome.
Thank you. I so appreciate you and the Genius Biofeedback. I love it.
Absolutely great.
Oh,
And
and
I
just so
appreciate
you
your
know, I'm
yes,
on
yes, yes.
track for launching my healing practice, where I'll be doing this for other people. I've been practicing and using it on some other people successfully. And so, yeah,
Well, be sure to post on our practitioner page. Go to geniusbiofeedback.com and it's on one of the menus and it may be on the learn menu, but we have our might be start here. Look for the practitioner page on the website and you can go and start an account there and
Okay.
post your practice there.
Okay, cool.
All
Thanks
right.
so
Thank you
much.
so much, Annette.
Take care.
Thank you. It's so good to have you. All right. So congratulations on that. And I wanted to sort of just sit on that beautiful ending aura that she had. And let's just see what your final questions are here. All right. Is there a YouTube video on the wave and sound feature? I'll see if I can come up with a short tutorial. We've shown it in different classes, but I'll see if I can come up with a short one. So, such a cleansing process Annette is experiencing. Her awakening involves a purging of emotions and embracing truth, light, and love. Her aura is beautiful. Thank you so much, Marcia. That was really kind of you. I'm going to get everybody the link for the prayer circle in an email coming out later this afternoon, or please email us, support@geniusbiofeedback.com, if you want the link to prayer circle tomorrow, and we will absolutely get it for you. I may be able to grab it in the last couple of minutes of talking here. Does it make a difference if the fruit is frozen? I have a lot of berries from the garden in the freezer, but not much available where I live in the fresh fruit department now. First of all, that would be that's fine. You could absolutely do that. That's not a problem. But how are you going to eat them? Are you going to just like defrost them and eat them? And then when they're melted, they don't taste that good. So you probably have to put them into a smoothie, which would be perfectly fine. Or maybe you can make yourself with some greens, a little green smoothie. But usually just eat fruit on its own. But yes, you could absolutely do that. And the frozen fruit apparently has the equivalent benefits, although it doesn't ever seem just like the same thing as real fresh fruit. But I understand it's just not available right now. Okay. All right. All right. Yes. My genius is still chiming, even though it deselected and now the nature in the wave menu. Yeah, you can write to us. It's probably going to be something that we're going to refer you on to the developer. There's still some funny things happening when you're using the genius, and even mine just now just completely crashed and I can't get it to start again. And I don't know if anybody else is having that issue, but we'll have to report it to the developer. Let's just go ahead and show the bug reporting function. So I'm going to try to get that before we depart for the day here. So I'm just trying to do two things at the same time. So I'm going to go to just a moment. Actually, I don't think I can bring the genius up because it's just completely jammed, but let me just describe what it is. You go to your genius, you go to the top right in the system overview, which is your navigation bar, pull down the menu, and what you will see is actually the bug reporting function. Sorry about this. And then go ahead and right there, you can report the bug, which you probably would have to do in just a moment because my genius just completely crashed and I can't get it to start again, which if that happens for you, the best thing to do is to just delete it and reinstall it. So you would just delete it and then just reinstall, which is what I'm gonna have to do after we're done today, is just completely delete my genius and then just reinstall it from fresh. So I don't know what exactly has happened because I updated everything on my genius over the weekend. So I'm not really sure what happened, but there are many, many things that have been improved on the genius, but as we've done that, we've sort of expanded the file size, I think, of the genius. And sometimes that, all the glitches or issues with that haven't been completely ironed out yet. So for anybody who asked about Prayer Circle, it's right here. That's the Zoom link for tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And it's really fun. We read some spiritual passages. We talk about what's going on in the world in terms of a spiritual lens, very, to embrace some positivity and the power of community as well. Yeah, I have many crashes. Yeah, go ahead and send us a message and also file a bug report. And sometimes it's related to the particular type of model that you use. And so the developer, when I'm troubleshooting your issue for you with the developer, he often says to me, well, if I don't have the exact device, it's hard for me to address it. When you file the bug report, it basically tells him all the details, automatically communicates them from your device. Now, if you still don't get a response or still have the issue, you can reach out to me, and then I'll put you in contact with him or try to find out what's going on with that. Need info on eating fruit? Have you done a class on this? Okay, yeah, we're gonna do a class. We need some lifestyle classes, and they're gonna be coming up. I want to talk about the fruit piece and some other food, but it's not an exclusive fruit program. That's a good thing to know. It's very reasonable, which was what Annette described. We talk about having it until noon or 3, and then we can talk about the energetics and the physiological issues related to that. I thought there was one more question here. Okay, so you guys just remember to really check out the blog and the events calendar at geniusbiofeedback.com. That's going to help you to catch up on a lot of things that we're doing here. We basically, everything we do gets posted to our blog, and you find that by dropping down from the learning menu. If you ever like can't find something, just get in touch with me. I'd be happy to help you to find it. But we have lots of things on the learn menu, resources like our new learning intensive. I can't emphasize enough how much the learning intensive really can help you. Even if you just watch the first video, if you're not familiar with a lot of our basic concepts, this thing can help you. Like an hour of watching this could be like a week of training, because I really just took everything and just sort of nutshelled it in that. Really how to talk about the genius and how to get started in a really comprehensive and easy way to get started. And then I just wanted to tell you about the events calendar, so you can go to the only thing that's not on here is prayer circle. We'll get that posted, but we did just post the link. And then on Thursday, please join us for Nadine Artemis. That's going to be so fun. She's so knowledgeable. If you ever wanted to really hear from an expert about how your teeth are related to your body, you definitely want to hear from Nadine. So we'll get prayer circle on here, and we'll be back next week for another training. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye for now.